Hello everyone. Welcome to another Facebook Live. Self-love Sundays, self-care Sundays, self-love, self-care. I'm so happy that you are part of this group, Freedom Seekers. It's an honor for me to have you be part of it and, share this energy and walk together in this beautiful path of waking up to the truth that we are very powerful beings, and that we have all this grace and all this beauty and all this light at our, at our service. And be so nice the day that we totally realize it, and then help other brothers and sisters in doing the same. So anyway, thank you so much for those of you that can get online live, and thank you so much for those of you that get online after, watch the replay and comment. I read all of your comments. Sometimes I don't answer them all, but I'm always so honored and happy to see you participating. So today we are going to be speaking about expectations in our relationships. If you heard me said this before, is never too many times to hear is never too much. I like to say, and I don't know who originally said this, but someone said expectations in relationships are premeditated disappointment. Expectations in our relationships are premeditated disappointment, and could be one of the biggest poison that there is in our relationships. So when it comes to relationships, we can talk about nonviolent communication, we can talk about boundaries, we can talk about forgiveness like we did last week. We can talk about so many aspects of relationships, but today I'm going to focus this call in the fact that as long as we're holding many expectations, we're going to keep being disappointed, or we're going to keep disappointing people if we fall into their expectations. So I just want to start with that little introduction. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about why is it we have expectation. It's so human to have it, and how to transmute that energy, remembering that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It's only transformed. So any disappointment is just energy. It's just dense, low energy, and we can rise the vibration of that disappointment and turn it into a beautiful lesson of growth, evolution, and that's what we want. It's not a matter, and you probably heard me saying that, it's not a matter of not having any bad relationships, or running away from our jobs, or running away from our marriages. It's not about that. It's about having awareness that whatever relationship you have in your life is there for a reason. A Course in Miracles says every relationship is a holy encounter. Every person that you meet in this life is a holy encounter. And when we see it that way, especially those one that can pour the salt in the wound, when we see it that way, everything shifts. You become a very beautiful student that keeps growing and evolving, and you stop being the victim of your circumstances. So I want to see who's online. So if you get online, please say hello so I can say, and say where you at, where in the world. Jax Morel, hello. Yes, you're first. I'm so glad you're first. Shelly, hi Shelly. Hi Tammy. So if you're online, please say hello. And also I would love to know where are you at in the world, because it's so cool. Hello Cindy. Hello. Hi guys. Thank you for being here. What a beautiful thing that we get to share this, even though we're far from each other, in terms of space. So as you're getting online, Shelly's in Los Angeles. Good. Tammy's in San Diego, California. Yeah. Awesome. Sweet. So you are 2 hours before me, so it's 9 a.m. All right. What a good way to start this Sunday. Beautiful. So I would love for us to close our eyes, and we're going to begin this class going inward. One of the things that Reverend Michael says is that when we get our sit together, when we go inward, we become less dangerous in our relationships. It's very dangerous, very dangerous. If you don't know how to sit with yourself and be okay with yourself, if you don't have a vision, we become very dangerous for other people because we become more needy. We hold lots of expectations. We become more controlling, more manipulative. So what we're going to do right now is to go inward, and we're going to breathe in the only moment that we have, which is the present moment. And then we're going to bring that awareness that is right here, right now, where we have it all, where we can get access to all of the wisdom, all of the solutions, all of the grace. So I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to start breathing with me. Inhale through your nose. Exhale out the mouth. Inhale through your nose. Exhale out the mouth. Inhale. Exhale. So as we know, the past is no longer here. The future is not yet here. And the only moment that we can breathe is right here, right now. We cannot breathe in the past. We cannot breathe in the future. And so by consciously breathing right here, right now, we're giving ourselves permission. We're giving ourselves permission to be present, to hear the wisdom of our own spirit, of our own soul. It's right here, right now, where all our needs are met. Where we can see that we are breathing, and that the breath in and of itself is such a miracle. So keep breathing in and out, giving yourself permission more deeply to be right here, right now. Just say it right there in your own heart. I give myself permission to be here. I give myself permission to be present, to love, to be present for the possibilities to unfold in front of me. I give myself permission to evolve and to expand right here, right now. No need to wait. No need to go to the past and try to review the past. Right here, right now, we can just make the choice. Choose to begin again. Choose a different feeling tone. We can choose right here, right now to begin again. And we do that with our breath. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. So we begin this beautiful Facebook Live with an attitude of gratitude, grateful for every single individual that gets online right now, for every individual that is part of this group and are going to watch this later. Grateful for beautiful hearts for showing up, for saying yes for more growth, for saying yes to be the student of this life. And this attitude of gratitude carries on throughout the day. Grateful, grateful, so grateful for everything. Unconditionally grateful for the lessons and for the challenges and for the beauty and for the blessings, for all of it. We're going to breathe the last 3 times. Inhale, gratitude. Exhale, let go. Inhale, gratitude. Exhale, let go. Inhale, gratitude. And surrender now. And we are ready to begin this class. So very slowly and very gracefully, we open our eyes and come back to the room that you're in. So, Cindy's in Maui. Wow. Hawaii. Linda, you're in Spain. Wow, I didn't know that. That's awesome. Teddy, finally at the right place at the right time. Well, I believe you're always at the right place at the right time. Not a minute too early, not a minute too late, but I'm so grateful that you are here, Teddy. All right, so we're going to talk about relationships and how expectations in relationships are premeditated disappointment. So why do we have expectations? I believe we have expectations, and it's such a human thing to do, because expectations bring certainty to our brains. When we have expectations, our brain go, okay, so I can predict what that person is going to do. I kind of control, feels like that sense of control that what's going to happen. And because I feel that way, then I have more chances to be safe. And if I'm safe, I survive. There are less possibilities that I get hurt or that I die. So you probably heard me talking about this very primal brain that we have, that we call the limbic system and the reptilian brain. It likes predictability. It likes to know what's going to happen. The worst thing that can happen to your brain and my brain is to not know, to be in uncertainty. And in the Spanish call that I did just before this, someone said, can you talk about that next week? So next week, I'm going to dive more into uncertainty and how to be friends with uncertainty. But this week, I want to talk, why do we have expectations? And I believe that's one of the main reasons, one of the more primal reasons, is because it brings that sense of I know, certainty. That's why naturally, almost by default, we hold expectations about people, or people hold expectations about us. So that is why sometimes we keep disappointing people, or people keep disappointing you. So today's intention, and if you've done my class here at Rhythmia about relationships, you know that the intention with this class is that we learn how to shift those expectations, how to take that energy of expectation and raise the bar and turn it into an energy of intention. Expectation is when I'm expecting, what can I get? Is this person going to give me what I need so that I can be okay? Is the government is going to do what I expect so that I can feel safe? Is, my boss or my company going to give me all of those, resources and things that I need so that I can feel okay? So I'm trying to get the change from outwards to inwards. And when we're doing that, sometimes we're lucky, we're blessed, and things happen. Sometimes we have friends and family that are so amazing. And oh my God, so much gratitude. And you share this beautiful flow of giving and receiving, and it's good and it works out. So great when that happens. But today we're going to speak especially about those relationships where nothing goes as you expect. When you sit down in conversation with that person and there's no communication. There's a lot of argument. There's like ego fighting another ego, wanting to know who's right and who's wrong. And there's a beautiful passage in A Course in Miracles that says, do you want to be right or do you want to be at peace? And when we are in expectation, when we are, trying to win arguments, we are choosing, wanting to be right. Because righteousness, it is also predictability. When you are right, you feel safer. That's why we do it. So as you know, I like to know this kind of knowledge about my brain, because I can be more compassionate to my brain. And I don't want to come to this phone call or this Facebook Live and say, you guys, I have no expectations. I don't fall into that trap of expectations. Of course I do. But here's the difference between me right now and the Paola 5 years ago when I didn't know this. Is that 5 years ago, I would stay in a space of victimhood. I would stay the victim of that situation. And I would blame, and I would shame, and I would feel sorry for myself, and I would feel very disempowered. Today, I sometimes fall into an expectation. I get a little hurt, a little disappointed, and I go, oh my God, little brain, thank you. You were just trying to protect me. You just did that because you love me. But here's the deal. We're going to shift that, because we're going to continue being disappointed. We don't let that go. We're going to turn that into an intention. So I almost talk to myself, and you don't have to do this. This is what I do for myself. I almost talk to myself as a loving mother will talk to a toddler, to a little child, to an innocent child. Because that's what your brain is. Your brain is doing what it's doing because it loves you so much that it wants to protect you, that it wants to make sure that you stay alive. That is why we hold expectations. That is why we manipulate. That is why we control. That is why we like to predict. That is why we watch news sometimes, in an addictive way. That's why some people drink, some people do drugs. We do all of that because the brain is looking for that safety. Sometimes it's just looking for that safety in the wrong places. And when it comes to relationships, we place a lot of our safety, our feeling of, oh, you need to give me my happiness, my sense of safety, because we haven't learned how to give that to ourselves first. And that is why Reverend Michael, when he said that the first time, I was like, wow, that is a very intense statement, where he said, you are a very dangerous person if you don't have a vision and if you don't know how to be good with yourself by yourself. When you don't have your sit together, not your shit together, your sit together, when you don't know how to be in silence, to nurture your spirit, you become dangerous in your relationships because you become needy, you become controlling, you become, very disappointed all the time, pointing fingers all the time, because we're looking desperately for the world to give us that thing that we don't know how to give to ourselves. But I just want you to think about someone in your life that you admire and you're like, wow, how did they do it? And I want you to, take a look at their life a little bit. We can just assume because we don't really know what's going on in their life. But I know someone like Reverend Michael, when I hang out with him, there's such a grace, there's such a light. And other people that I meet in my life. And I do a little review of what are their habits. They meditate. They know how to be good with themselves by themselves. And they spend a lot of their time, energy, and money cultivating their spirit. Cultivating that part of you that is eternal. And when we do that, then we no longer seek relationships to make us happy. We bring happiness to our relationships. That's what Reverend Michael says. And that's the power of intention. Expectation is how they can make me happy. How can I get what I need? Intention is how can I bring what I feel that is lacking in this moment? Or how can I bring this thing that is overflowing out of me? But I'm going to give you a very common sense statement. You cannot give what you don't have. It's impossible for you to give what you don't have, what you don't know how to give to yourselves. And sometimes in our relationships, we say, well, there's so much disrespect in this relationship. Well, then ask yourself, are you disrespecting yourself by not listening to your body, by you're not listening to your energy, by not listening to your own intuition, by staying in a relationship knowing that the season is over, by engaging in that same habit over and over again, knowing that it's self-destructive. So sometimes, or most of the time, I would say relationships are great mirrors of what we're not giving to ourselves. I know one time I had this relationship, and this was a very dishonest person. This person was so dishonest that he didn't even know that he was dishonest. And that's how much he believed his own lies. And but in that moment, I was very invested, and I would get victimized by it, and I couldn't understand, and it was so difficult for me at first. I was like, what is this? If life is a mirror, if this is a mirror of me, I can't believe I'm this dishonest. And for a long time, I was like, no, it's him, it's not me. And I did lots of work. I did everything, plant medicine, breath work, everything you can imagine, visit psychics, all the work. Invested a lot of energy trying to, decode the secret of this relationship. And one day, playing a very silly game, a very funny game, it's called the forgiveness game, I had to turn it around, kind of like the work of Byron Katie. And if you don't know who Byron Katie is, I highly recommend you check her out. It's called, she has a book called Loving What Is. And there's a part of her work where whatever it is that you're blaming in the other person, you turn it around. And I remember I had to do this in this game. And then all of a sudden, when I turned around and I said, I am dishonest, I said it out loud, I am dishonest. In that moment, my awareness expanded. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. I had no idea I was being dishonest, but I was. And then I did a little bit of a live revision of my life. And one of the things that I found is that I was raised with the idea that you had to please others first, that others were before me, that if I was liked, if I was loved by them, then I was worthy, that I was enough. So at a very young age, I understood that pleasing others was more important than respecting myself. So in the name of that, I was dishonest, intellectually dishonest. And what does that mean to be intellectually dishonest? Those lies that you tell to yourself because your logic said, well, this makes sense. That's what we're going to do it. And in the name of sense, I remember saying so many little lies that will go under the radar. Lies that I didn't even know I was saying, and that is why I say the lies that you tell to yourself are the most dangerous lies, because we end up believing them. And I had to find someone that was, dishonest out loud. So ridiculous. That I had to find someone like that would put a huge mirror in front of me, and for me to stay there for a while to finally understand, oh, look, alive is showing me how I am being dishonest. Now, this was my situation at that time. It's different for everyone. So now you may say, Paula, no, the person that triggers me, the person that disappoints me, I'm not like that person. 100% convinced. No, I'm not that way. So now in my case, it was a direct mirroring. So there's some other cases where it's the opposite. So kids being raised by narcissists. This is a very common example. Kids that are raised by parents that are narcissists or sociopaths, or just a very, very selfish parent, very, primal way of being, and just someone hurt people. I've said before, hurt people. So say you were raised by a parent that was deeply hurt by their parents, that were hurt by their parents, and it just go to the beginning of times. But let's say your parent was like that, and they were very selfish, and they weren't aware of that. You as a kid, you could probably copy that and say, okay, this is what my hero does, I'm going to do the same. Or most of the time what happens is that you run to the other extreme and you become a people pleaser. You become someone that is constantly helping others. You become hyper vigilant of your environment. And because you do this, you're all the time exhausted, and it seems that it's so easy for you to keep attracting people that are takers, and you keep giving and they keep taking, you keep giving and they keep taking. Because they steal your shadow, they steal your mirror. Even though you're not a narcissist, even though you're not, egocentric, you run away so far from this behavior that you're still engaging in that shadow. Does that make sense? I hope that's making sense. Let's take a deep breath in. Let go. So, if there's someone in your life, or there's a pattern in your life of people that keep showing up, it's because there's a beautiful lesson there for you. They're mirroring something in you that either needs to be healed or needs to be integrated. In my case, I needed to integrate that shadow. Oh, I learned to be dishonest and this very, kind of like what we call white lies. I learned to be this way in the name of being liked by everyone, trying to get everyone's love, being approved. And I did that, and I'm not going to, judge or reject myself because I did that. I just took it, I loved, and I said, thank you so much for doing this for me. Thank you. I don't need you anymore. I'm going to bring some honesty now. I'm going to be honest to myself before I do this with anybody else. First, honest with myself. And I was being dishonest with them because I didn't even know that I was being dishonest with myself. And if you have someone in your life that is being dishonest, they're not being dishonest with you. They're being dishonest with themselves. what was funny is that I didn't even know that I was lying. I remember I stayed up all night writing in my journal. Oh my God, it was big realization. Sometimes those realizations come in a big way. Sometimes they come in a very subtle way. And I remember the moment I realized that that relation was no longer valid in my life. It's like, oh, I learned a lesson. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, teacher, for coming into my life, bringing so much pain, because it was so much pain in the process. But I don't know if you looked at my personal Facebook, Paola Castro, but the other day, I think it was Wednesday, I posted a poem by Khalil Gibran, and he says that pain is your medicine. In fact, I would love to read it for you right now, and I want you to take these words in, because it's such a beautiful poem. Maybe you already read it, but it's always good to read it again. And this poem said, this is on pain. And I want you to listen to this and keep breathing in and out. Your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. Even as the stone of the fruit must break, that its heart may stand in the sun, so must you know pain. And you could keep your heart in wonder at the daily miracles of your life. Your pain would not seem less wondrous than your joy. And you would accept the seasons of your heart, even as you have always accepted the seasons that pass over your fields. And you would watch with serenity through the winters of your grief. Much of your pain is self-chosen. It is the bitter potion by which the physician within you heals your sick self. Therefore, trust the physician and drink his remedy in silence and tranquility. For his hand, though heavy and hard, is guided by the tender hand of the unseen. And the cup he brings, though it burns your lips, has been fashioned of clay, which the potter has moistened with his own sacred tears. Khalil Gibran. So pain is our medicine, is what breaks, the shell around our understanding. And sometimes we find people that, bam, they break that shell. And I remember before this person, I was living my own little bubble thinking, I'm this honest person. And not dishonest, but an honest person. And he just came into my life and boom, broke everything I knew. Everything I knew, just shed it into pieces. And I cannot tell you how grateful I am for this. So grateful. What a teacher. I'm sure he doesn't know he was my teacher, but he's my teacher because I came to this life to learn big lessons in order to also have compassion for the people that I guide or that I walk with. I know I came here to do this work, and life knows when to send those teachers. So this is my situation now. I know we all go through this kind of relationships and this kind of the pain that expectations bring, but it's not a mistake that you're here in this Facebook Live. So today together we're going to remember how to shift the energy of expectation and raise the bar and turn it into an intention. What can I bring instead of what can I get? What can I bring instead of what can I get? In my situation, I need to bring my own honesty, but not honesty towards anybody first. Honesty to myself, and really, really get clear and be courageous, because many times in my life, I wasn't honest with myself because I felt the fear of rejection. And so when I started to be honest with myself and bring that honesty in every conversation, every relationship, I also had to engage with courage. And that part of my ego that was so married to please, to be liked, to be approved by others, had to die. That aspect of myself had to be released. And very courageously, one step in front of the other, just to be honest. And there were times where I had to say truths that they were uncomfortable for me. Maybe not so much for the other person, but to tell the truth, to be vulnerable, to say, well, this is what's going on. It's been a beautiful path for me. So people are beautiful teachers, all of them. Every encounter is a holy encounter. Every encounter is a holy encounter. And there's some encounters that bring great joy, a lot of grace, a lot of joy, a lot of happiness. And we celebrate together, we dance together. But there are other relationships, or end their other relationships, that they teach us through pain, through disappointment, through, the breaking of the shell. And like Rumi says, it's through the wound where the light can come in. It's through the wound where the light can come in. So I want to hear what you guys are saying. So Marisol says, can you repeat the name of the book and the author, please? Her name is Byron Katie. I'm going to write it over here. Oh my God, that woman. She's so amazing. Byron Katie. I think it's like this. And the book is Loving What Is. And she has a method that is called the work. So if you Google it, you'll see that you'll find videos, you'll find the work is for free. So you learn the method through the book, and then you do the process. And it's brilliant when it comes to relationships. Okay, let's see. Teddy, wow, amazing how enlightenment comes from self-awareness within moments. Isn't that interesting? It comes from chopping wood and carrying water. Through the ordinary of life that, we get to. Sometimes it comes in big, giant waves, but I think the most powerful lessons that, get us closer to that, knowing that we're enlightened beings, they come in little moments, in the ordinary moments. So thank you, Teddy, for commenting that. Maria Julia is in the Bay Area. Amiguita, Julita. Write the name again, please. Okay, Loving What Is, the work is right there. So do you guys have any questions, any comments, anything that you want to say? Is the moment to say it. If this is resonating, I would love for you to put a thumbs up with a little heart, so that I know that we're all in the same feeling tone, if this is resonating. So how do you turn expectations into intentions? Step 1, have the awareness of it. That's it. That's 50% of the work, having the awareness of it. The other day I learned that when you have awareness of an addiction, of a pattern, or a way of being, once you have the awareness, the intensity of the addiction, the intensity of the aversion to do it decreases, just because you know it, just because you're aware of it. So first of all is having awareness. Again, as I said some minutes ago, it's not that I don't have expectations, that sometimes I don't fall into that in my relationships. Is that now I have that awareness. My awareness has been expanded in that matter, in that way, and I can see it when it's happening. And I can see the addiction to go back to victim consciousness. I can see it, and I can love it. I can go to that aspect of myself, and I said, Paola, it's okay. You're doing this because you love me. It's just that this is not in congruency with who we are, with who we are becoming right now. So why don't we go back to our hearts and we ask ourselves, how can I shift this into an intention? Instead of what can I get, it's what can I bring? So I want you to think right now, what is that you think is missing in this relationship? What is lacking in this relationship? And instead of you saying, give me, give me, give me, can you bring it, bring it, bring it? Can you bring that aspect, that quality that you are judging that is missing? Can you bring it? But remember, I'm just going to say this one more time. You cannot bring it to that relationship if first you haven't given to yourself. So you may say, this relationship is lacking healthy boundaries. There's no boundaries here. So are you practicing boundaries with self? Do you know what are your boundaries? Do you know what's acceptable and what's not acceptable in your life? Do you know it for you? If you don't know it yet with you, then I encourage you to ask yourself, what is a non-negotiable in your life? It's important to know this, and I've said it in my classes. It's very important to have the differentiate between spirituality and personal development first. At some point, we're all one, and it's all good. But first, we need to know the difference. Why? Because sometimes in the name of love, in the name of oneness, people stay in toxic, abusive relationships. So that is why first we need to look at our boundaries. What are your boundaries? Or perhaps you're saying, you know, there's so much conditions here. This person, this relationship, oh my God, there's so many conditions. So if what you're thinking is lacking is unconditional love and care and compassion, question to yourself, do you practice that with yourself? Can you be unconditional with yourself? I have another funny story. About 3 weeks ago, I did medicine. And it was beautiful. It took me far, 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 far away. And it was a download of amazingness, of beauty and grace and wisdom. And wow. It took me about 5 days to get, to be back. It was very strong for me. And I was navigating it, and it was beautiful, and I was integrating, and I was, feeling the feeling tone of Mother Ayahuasca, and I was so, so grateful. And there was a couple of nights during those 5 days of me trying to come back, or just, slowly bringing myself back to this dream, where I felt a little like, oh my God, how come I feel like a little scared right now? Like, sleeping at night. That was a moment where it's like a little anxious sleeping at night. And I was like, come on, Paola. And I was being a little rude to myself. Like, come on, let's just go to bed. Like, just get it over with. Like, you're okay. I was being very conditional to myself. During the day, I will feel the bliss because, oh my God, I feel so good. And I felt so enlightened and so good. But then the moment there's aspects of myself, that little girl in me was a little scared. My nervous system was like, oh my God, this might be too much right now, too much energy vibrating. The moment there was an aspect of me that I judge of not being mature enough, in that moment I started being conditional to myself. And the funny part is that I had to sit down in my bed, and I was like, why do I tell people in class? Just remember, why do I tell people in class they could do in this moment? And it's so funny because I say this all the time. And I was like, oh, treat yourself like a loving mother would treat a toddler. Oh, okay. So very slowly, in that one night when I was feeling a little nervous, I took myself to the shower, and I put some essential oils, and I was being very gentle with myself. And now we're gonna put ourselves to bed, and it's all gonna be all right. We're gonna leave the light on outside on so that you can have some light and you're not in pure darkness. It was so funny and so interesting how I was in a second just being conditional to myself. If I feel good, all good. But if I don't, if I feel a little fragile, if I feel a little vulnerable, it's not good. Get it over with. We're so used to being conditional to ourselves. And of course, when I go days without realizing this, then I probably find people around me being conditional with me, just mirroring that aspect of me. So I turn it into unconditional. Oh, I feel a little vulnerable, a little fragile right now. Then we're going to navigate this day with gentleness. Because a war against war, you guys, creates more war. The more I told those aspects of myself that it wasn't okay to feel that way, the more I felt it. The more out of control I started to feel. The moment I turned into a loving mother, unconditional love to myself, I felt good. I was able to go to bed and had sweet dreams, and it was all good. I hope this is resonating with you. Let's take a deep breath in. I see hearts, Kelty, yay, Teddy, Linda, ego versus soul. Teddy, I get what you're saying, but I would take the word versus and I would put an end. Ego and soul. We can work together. Ego is that human sense of self, and soul is that spiritual true self. So what if instead of versus, what if instead of a war, what if we do an end? Ego and soul dancing together. Last night I was breathing. I took a breathwork class here at Rhythmia. And I was breathing through my stomach, where here is a lot of control, and breathing through my heart, kind of like intermittent. So I was breathing through my heart and then breathing through my stomach. It wasn't simultaneously. And one of the helpers came and put her fingers here in my chest and on my solar plexus, and she wanted me to breathe simultaneously. And she said, your heart and your strength are one. And I remember thinking, oh my Lord, wow. That was a beautiful statement for me in that moment. Because sometimes it's like, okay, it's either my ego or my soul, but what if they're one? What if they can be dancing at the same time? Not one or the other, is one and the other. My heart and my strength are one. Thank you, Teddy. Okay, so Jax, I like the what is logical to do versus what my emotions tell me. Which option is driven by the heart versus ego versus soul? Pretty much what you're saying. Yeah. I mean, it's a way of seeing it. It's not a wrong way of seeing soul versus logic. But what if today all of us, we do end? We take the verses and we put an end. So thank you, Jax. Love oneself. Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Teddy. You're awesome too. We're reflecting each other. Tammy, very good. Practicing sitting with your vulnerability. Yes. Yes. Okay. Teddy is resonating. Okay. Awesome. Awesome, guys. So now this is what I want us to do. This is a technique that I want you to use before going to the office, that I want you to use before going to have that conversation that is a little sticky. I want you to use this in a beautiful moment before you go on a date, or before you go on on an interview, or before you engage in anything. This is the power of intention. Every morning, I want you to set an intention for your day, or in every situation, especially those ones. I think it might be a big word. When you know in your heart you're going to be in expectations, I encourage you to do this practice that we're going to do right now. And the practice is, we're going to go into our hearts. We've done this before. We're going to go into your hearts, and we're going to get into that feeling tone of appreciation. We're going to do this for 1 minute. It's going to be very, very fast. Now, if you're driving, and you're doing it on your way to work, you don't have to close your eyes. You're just going to breathe through your heart as you're driving. You're going to place all of your awareness. That's the power of our awareness. We can be driving and simultaneously place our awareness, choosing to place our awareness in our heart. And then breathe through your heart, and you're going to think about something or someone that makes you feel deep appreciation, that when you think about this person, about this being, you feel so good. You feel so much care for this person. So when you do this, what we're doing is that we are activating the intelligence of your heart. When you get to that space of gratitude in your heart, by breathing through your heart, you're activating this wisdom. And then when you're there, you're going to ask your heart, dear heart, what's my intention in this relationship? I know I've been holding expectations. I know that those expectations have brought big disappointment. Can we shift that expectation into an intention? And therefore, what is my intention? What is my offering? Almost as when you go into an altar and you bring flowers, you bring the beautiful reverence. You're bringing this, and some hearts sometimes would say, I want you to bring boundaries. I want you to bring healthy boundaries. I want you to bring love. I want you to bring understanding before having them understanding you. I want you to bring compassion. I want you to bring joy. I want you to bring groundedness. It's different for everyone, okay? So we're going to do it for a minute. So I want you to close your eyes, put your hand on your heart. I want you to take a deep breath in your heart and let go out the heart. And I want you to breathe right there in the center of your heart. Imagine that you have a little nose in the center of your heart, and you're breathing in. And you're breathing out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Amazing. So as you're breathing in and out, I want you to think in this moment about something or someone in your life that when you think about it, it makes you feel deep appreciation. And I want you to breathe in and out. I know for me, imagining my nephew and my niece, they're little children. When I think about them, oh, it makes me feel so good. So much appreciation for their innocence. So it could be that for you. It could be your pet. It could be your cat. Animals give you so much unconditional love. Anything easy to think about and then get into that feeling tone of appreciation. Breathe in and out. Very good. Breathe in. Release. Breathe in love and care. Exhale. I want you to keep breathing in and out. Unconditional love, ease, grace. Keep thinking about that being. Very good. Excellent. And as you are right there in that feeling tone of gratitude, I want you to ask the wisdom of your heart, dear heart, what could be my intention? What is my offering to this relationship? What is my intention? And listen to the wisdom of your heart. What's my intention? Beautiful. And as you're listening, keep breathing in and out. We're going to breathe the last 3 times. Inhale. Release. Inhale. Release. Inhale. Release. Very good. Very slowly and very gracefully come back to your present moment, to the room you're in. Beautiful. Amazing. So I would love to know, what did you hear from your heart? Now, what happens is that sometimes people say, Paola, I didn't hear anything. You know, my heart was pounding pretty hard, or I felt a little nervous, but didn't hear anything. If you didn't, just keep practicing. Just keep practicing getting into that space of love, that space of care by thinking about that person, that being. Breathe through your heart. Once you're feeling that vibration, ask, what can I bring? What can I bring to this relationship? What can I bring to this meeting? What can I bring to this project? What can I bring to this date? What can I bring to this conversation? So I would love to know. So Kelty says, unconditional love. Beautiful, Kelty. So one more time. I know I've been saying it a lot, but please practice that with yourself. Be unconditional, especially in those days where you're a little bit more tired, especially in those days when you don't want to show up, especially those days when your ego is acting up a little bit, it's a little bit uncomfortable, especially those days. Be unconditional with yourself so that you can bring that into that relationship. Linda says, I love this, we cannot give what we don't have. Mm-hmm. And the flight attendants always said that thing, put your mask first before you put it into someone else. It's the same concept. Tammy, acceptance of love that the universe is offering. That's a good one. That's a good one, Tammy. That's a really good one, especially for givers. Givers love to give, but they don't know how to receive. And being a receiver, it's a big act of courage. It's a lot easier to love than to be loved. especially those, people that are hyper vigilant. They're always giving, thinking. So Tammy, just to expand on what you said, if you ever, people say, I want to invite you, silly things like I want to pay for you, say thank you, I received that. Don't put it back. Receive compliments. When people say something good about you, say thank you. Thank you. Just that. You don't have to put it back. You don't have to excuse it. Just say thank you. You don't have to give a compliment back unless you feel like it, but just practice saying thank you. When the universe gives you something beautiful, take a deep breath and say, thank you, universe. I'm ready for more. Thank you. When things go well, celebrate it. So those are ways of accepting the love of the universe is offering. Beautiful. Teddy says, yes, unconditionally. Freedom. Bring freedom. I love that, Jack. And I know you're not asking me for this, but my intuition tells me to tell you in this moment, when I met you, you exude freedom. You're very free in your ways of being, and that is beautiful to see. So bring freedom to your relationships and keep practicing that beautiful way of being. Awesome. So I don't see any more comments, and I believe we are complete. Let's take the last deep breath in. Let go. And because someone offered that in the last call in Spanish, next week I'm thinking about talking about uncertainty, talking about, not knowing. We're going to talk about that. Thank you so much for being here. I suggest that if you love this topic, watch the video again. Teach it to someone that is ready to receive the lesson. If you have any friend that is like, yeah, I want to know what you're learning, say, let me tell you about expectations in relationships, and teach this, because when we are teaching, we're learning even more. And tag your friends that could benefit from this, share this, invite people to this group. And if during the week you have something special to share, a quote, a video, please share it in the wall. As soon as I see it, I'll accept it. I have an approval thing on Facebook, because sometimes I just want to make sure that this is in alignment with what we are doing here. So it might take me a few hours to approve it, but if you have something special to share with us, please share it in the wall here in this group. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful Sunday. Have a beautiful week, and I will see you next week. Thank you, everyone.